The book of Enoch, chapter 63. And in those days the powerful kings who hold the earth will petition the angels of punishment, to whom they are delivered, that they should give them a little rest, so that they could fall down and worship before the Lord of the spirits, and could acknowledge their sins before him. And they will bless and glorify the Lord of the spirits, and will say, quote, "Blessed is the Lord of the spirits, and the Lord of kings, the Lord of the powerful, and the Lord of the rulers, and the Lord of glory, and the Lord of wisdom, and every secret is clear, and thy power is to all generations, and thy glory to all eternity. Deep are thy secrets, all and without number, and thy justice without reckoning." Now we know that we should praise and bless the Lord of kings, and him who rules over all the kings. End quote. And they will say, quote, "Who will give us rest, that we might praise and thank and bless him, and be believers before his glory? And now we long for a little rest, and do not find it. We are driven away and do not receive it. The light has ceased before us, and darkness is our dwelling place to all eternity. For before him we have not believed and have not honoured the name of the Lord of the kings, and we have not praised the Lord in all his doing. And our hope was in the sceptre of our kingdom, and in our glory. And in the day of our trial and our trouble he did not save us. And we do not find rest to believe that our Lord is faithful in all his deeds, and in all his judgments and his justice, and that his judgment does not respect persons. And we shall disappear before his face on account of our deeds, and all our sins are counted in justice." End quote. Now they will say to them, quote, "Our souls are satisfied with unjust goods, but it does not prevent our going to the flames of the pain of hell." End quote. And after that, their countenances will be filled with darkness and shame before that Son of Man, and they will be expelled from his presence, and a sword will dwell in their midst before his countenance. And thus said the Lord of the spirits, quote, "This is the ordinance and judgment of the mighty and the kings and the exalted, and those who hold the earth before the Lord of the spirits." End quote. Chapter 64. And I saw the faces in that place in secret. I heard the voice of the angel saying, quote, "These are the angels who descended from heaven upon the earth, and have revealed to the children of men that which was secret, and have led astray the sons of men, that they committed sin." End quote. Chapter 65. And in those days Noah saw the earth that it was curved, and that its destruction was near. And he lifted up his feet from there, and went to the ends of the earth, and called to his grandfather Enoch. And Noah said with a bitter voice, quote, "Hear me, hear me, hear me," end quote, 3 times. And he said to him, quote, "Tell me what it," he said to him, quote, "Tell me what it is it that has been done on the earth, that the earth is so tired out and shaken. May I not be destroyed with it?" End quote. And after this time there was a great trembling on the earth, and a voice was heard from heaven, and I fell on my face. And Enoch, my grandfather, came and stood by me, and said to me, quote, "Why dost thou so bitterly and lamentingly cry to me? A command has come from before the presence of the Lord over all those who dwell on the earth, that their end is at hand, because they know all the secrets of the angels, and all the violence of the Satans, and all the powers of secrecy, and all the powers of those who practice sorcery, and the powers of fascination, and the powers of those who make metal images of the whole earth, and also how silver is produced from the dust of the earth, and how soft metal originates on the earth. For lead and zinc cannot produce like the former. A fountain it is which produces them, and an angel who stands in it, and that angel is excellent." End quote. And after that my grandfather Enoch took hold of me with his hand, and raised me up, and said to me, quote, "Go, for I have asked the Lord of the spirits concerning this shaking of the earth." And he said to me, quote, "Oh, on account of their injustice, their judgment is completed, and will not be counted before me concerning the months which they have searched out, and through which they have learned that the earth will be destroyed, and those who live thereon. And for them there will be no place of refuge till eternity, because they have showed them that which was secret, and they will be judged, but not thou, my son. The Lord of the spirits knows that thou art clean and free of this blame concerning the secrets, and he has strengthened thy name among the holy, and will preserve thee from those who dwell on the earth, and will strengthen thy seed in justice for kings and great honours. And from thy seed will proceed the fountain of the just and the holy, without number, to eternity." End quote. Chapter 66. And after that he showed me the angels of punishment, who are prepared to come in order to open all the powers of the water which is under the earth, that it may be a judgment and destruction over all those who live and dwell on the earth. And the Lord of spirits commanded the angels who went forth that they should not lift up their hands, but should wait, for these angels are over the power of the waters. And I went away from the presence of Enoch. Chapter 67. And in those days the voice of God was with me, and he said to me, quote, Noah, behold, thy portion has ascended to me, a portion without blame, a portion of love and of rectitude. And now the angels are making a wooden building, and when they are gone to that work, I will lift up my hands upon it, and will preserve it, and out of it will be, bracket, i.e. common bracket, the seed of life, and a change will come, so that the earth does not remain empty. And I will strengthen thy seed before me to all eternity, and will scatter those who dwell with thee over the face of the earth, and it, bracket, i.e. the seed, and bracket, will be blessed and increased over the earth in the name of the Lord, end quote. And they will enclose those angels who have showed injustice in that flaming valley which my grandfather Enoch showed to me before, in the west, in the mountains of gold and of silver and of iron and of soft metal and of zinc. And I saw that valley in which there was a great shaking and the shaking of the waters, and as this took place, there was produced from that flaming, flowing metal, and out of the shaking that shook them at that place, an odour of sulphur, and it united with those waters, and that valley of the angels who are led astray burned under that earth. And through the valley of that earth comes rivers of fire, for those angels who had led astray those who dwell on the earth are condemned. And those waters will be in those days for the kings and the powerful and exalted, and those who dwell on the earth, a medicine of the soul and of the body, but for a judgment of the spirit, because the spirits are full of lust, that they be punished in their bodies, because they have denied the Lord of the spirits, and see their judgments daily, and still believe not in his name. And as the burning of their bodies increases, there will be a change in their spirit to all eternity. For no one will speak a vain word before the Lord of the spirits, for the judgment comes over them, because they believe in the lust of their flesh, and deny the Spirit of the Lord. And those waters themselves, in those days, suffer a change. When those angels shall be condemned in those days, the heat of those fountains of the waters changes. And when the angels ascend, this water of the fountains changes and becomes cold. And I heard the holy Michael answering, saying, quote, This judgment wherewith the angels are condemned is a testimony for the kings and the powerful, and for those who hold the earth. For these waters of judgment are a healing of the angels, and a death to their bodies. But they will not see and will not believe that those waters change and will become a fire which burns to eternity. End quote. Chapter 68. And after that my grandfather Enoch gave me the signs of all the secrets in the book, and the parables which had been given to him, and he compiled them for me in the words of the book of the parables. And on that day the holy Michael answered, saying to Raphael, quote, "The power of the Spirit forces me and angers me, and on account of the severity of the judgment of the secrets, the judgment over the angels, who can endure the severity of the judgment which is past and remains, and before which they melt away." End quote. And the holy Michael answered again and said to Raphael, quote, "Who is he whose heart is not softened concerning it, and whose reins are not shaken by this word? A judgment has come overt them from (a) on account of, and those whom they have thus let out." End quote. And it came to pass, as he stood before the Lord of the Spirits, the holy Michael spoke to Raphael, quote, "And I will not be for them under the eye of the Lord, for the Lord of the Spirits is angered at them, because they act as if they were like gods. Therefore judgment which is hidden comes over them to all eternity. Therefore neither angel nor man will receive his portion, but they alone will receive their judgment to all eternity." End quote. Chapter 69. And after this judgment they will terrify and anger them, because they have showed this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold, the names of those angels, and these are their names. The first of them is Semyaza, the second Aristoclefa, and the third Amen. The fourth Kakabal, the fifth Turael, the sixth Ramajal, the seventh Danel, the eighth Nyokiel, the ninth Barakwel, the 10th Azazel, the 11th Armus, the 12th Betarajal, the 13th Rasael, the 14th Ananel, the 15th Cherajal, the 16th Simsiel, the 17th Jataral, the 18th Chemael, the 19th Taral, the 20th Remael, the 21st Ezeziel. And these are the heads of the angels, and the names of their chiefs, over 100, and the chiefs over 50, and the chiefs over 10. The name of the first Joachim, he is the one who has led astray all the children of the holy angels, and has led them down on the earth, and has led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second is called Asbiel. He is the one who has taught the children of the holy angels the wicked device, and has led them astray to destroy their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third is called Gadriel. He is the one who has taught the children of men all the blows of death, and led astray Eve, and showed to the children of men the instruments of death, the coat of mail, and the shield, and the sword for battle, and all the instruments of death to the sons of men. And from his hand they have come over those who dwell on earth from that time to eternity. And the fourth is called Hanamur. He has taught the sons of men the bitter and the sweet, and taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught men writing with ink and paper, and thereby many sinned from eternity and to eternity and up to this day. For men were not born to the purpose that they should thus strengthen their fidelity with a pen and with ink. For man was not created otherwise than the angels, that they should remain just and pure, and death, which destroys all things, would not have touched them. But through this their knowledge they are destroyed, and through this power it devours me. And the fifth is named Kosjeja. He has taught the sons of men all the wicked beatings of the spirits and the demons, the beatings of the birth and the womb, that it fall, and the beatings of the soul, the bites of the serpent, and the beatings which take place at noon. The son of the serpent, whose name is Tabaat, and this is the number of Kesbiel, who showed the head of the earth to the holy ones, when he dwelt high in glory, and his name is Beikra. And this one said to the holy Michael that he should show them the secret name, that they might see that secret name, that they might mention this name in the earth, and they may tremble before that name, and the earth, those that show to the children of men all that is secret. And this is the power of that earth, for it is powerful and strong, and he placed this earth, aka, into the hands of the holy Michael. And these are the secrets of this earth, and they were strengthened by his earth, and heaven was suspended before the earth was made, unto eternity. And by it the earth was founded on the water, and from the secret places of the mountains come beautiful waters for the living, from the creation of the world to eternity. And by that earth the sea was created, and as its foundation he placed for its sand for the time of rage. And It dare not pass over from the creation of the world into eternity. And by the earth the depths were strengthened and stand and do not move from their places from eternity and to eternity. And by the earth the sun and the moon complete their course and depart not from their commands from eternity and to eternity. And by the earth the stars complete their courses, and he calls their names, and they answer him from eternity and to eternity. And also the spirits of the water and of the winds, and of all the zephyrs in their paths, according to all the unions of the spirits, and in it are preserved the repositories of the voice of thunder and of the light of the lightning, and there are preserved the repositories of hail and of the hoarfrost, and the repositories of the fog, and the repositories of the rain, and of the dew. And all these believe in and render thanks before the Lord of the spirits, and praise him with all their power, and their food is all thanksgiving, and they thank and praise and exalt in the name of the Lord of the spirits to all eternity. And over them this earth is strong, and they are preserved by it, and their paths are preserved, and the courses are not destroyed. And there was great joy among them, and they blessed and honored and exalted, because the name of the Son of Man had been revealed unto them. And he sat upon the throne of his glory, and the sum of the judgment was given to him. The Son of Man, and he causes to disappear and to be destroyed the sinners from the face of the earth, and also those who have led astray the earth. They shall be bound with chains and shall be imprisoned in the assembly place of destruction, and all their work shall disappear from the face of the earth. And from that time on there will be nothing that will be destroyed, for he, the Son of Man, has appeared, and sits on the throne of his glory, and all wickedness will disappear before his face and depart. But the word of that Son of Man will be strong before the Lord of the spirits. This is the third parable of Enoch. Section 12, Chapter 70. And it came to pass after this that his name was elevated during his lifetime to that Son of Man, to the Lord of the spirits, away from those who dwell on the earth. And it was elevated on the wagons of the Spirit, and the name departed in their midst. And from that day I was not drawn in their midst, and he set me between two winds, between the north and the west. there where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the chosen and for the just. And there I saw the first fathers and the just, who dwell in this place from the beginning. Chapter 71. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was hidden, and it ascended into the heavens. There I saw the sons of the angels stepping on a flame of fire. Their clothes were white, and also their garments, and the light of their face was like crystal. And I saw 2 rivers of fire, and the light of that fire flamed like hyacinth. And I fell on my face before thee, Lord of the spirits. And Michael, an angel from among the chiefs of the angels, took me by the right hand and lifted me up, and led me out to all the secrets of mercy, and to the secrets of justice. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the repositories of the stars and of the luminaries, and whence they proceed into the presence of the holy ones. And the Spirit moved Enoch into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, in the midst of the light, how there was something which was built of crystal stone. And between these stones, tons of living fire. And my spirit saw how a fire surrounded this house on the 4 sides, rivers full of living fire, and how they surround this house. And around about were seraphim and cherubim and Ophanim. These are they who do not sleep, but guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be numbered, 1,000 times 1,000, and 10,000 times 10,000, surrounded that house, and Michael and Raphael, Gabriel and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are in the high heavens, enter and leave that house. And Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and many holy angels, without number, came out of that house, and with them the head of days, his head white and clean as wool, and his garments beyond description. And I fell on my face, and all my flesh melted, and my spirit was changed. And I cried with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and I blessed and honored and exalted. And these blessings, which proceed from my mouth, were pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and with thousands, and with 10,000 times 1,000 angels without number. And that angel came to me and greeted me with his voice and said to me, quote, "Thou art a son of man who was born to justice." And justice dwells over thee, and the justice of the head of days will not depart from thee. And he said to me, quote, "He calls peace unto thee in the name of the world, which is to come. From thence peace proceeds since the creation of the world. And thus it will be to thee to eternity and from eternity to eternity. And all who will continue to walk in thy path, bracket thou, whom justice does not leave in eternity, end bracket, their dwelling places will be with thee, and they will not be separated from thee in eternity, and from eternity to eternity." And so long life will be with that Son of Man, and peace will be to the just, and his right path to the just, in the name of the Lord of the Spirits, to all eternity. Section 13. Chapter 72. The book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven, how it is with each one of them, as to their classes, their governments, and their times, as to their names and origin, and as to their months, which their leader Uriel, a holy angel who was with me, showed to me. And the whole description as it is he showed to me, and how it is with respect to all the years of the world until eternity, till a new creation is made, which will continue to eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary sun has its ascent in the portals of the heavens, which are towards the east, and his descent in the western portals of heaven. And I saw 6 portals, out of which the sun ascends, and 6 portals into which the sun descends. The moon also rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars, and those led by them, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all, each after the other, aright. Also many windows to the right and to the left of these portals. And first comes forth the great luminary called the sun, and his circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and he is entirely filled with flaming and heating fire. The wagon on which he ascends are driven by the wind, and the sun descending disappears from the heavens and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is led that he comes to that portal and shines on the surface of heaven. And thus he came forth in the first month in the great portal, and he comes forth from the fourth of these 6 portals towards the east. And in that 4th portal, from which the sun comes forth in the 1st month, there are 12 window openings, from which a flame proceeds when they are opened in their time. When the sun rises from the heavens, he comes out of that 4th portal 30 mornings and descends directly into the 4th western portal of heaven. And in those days, the day is daily lengthened, and the nights nightly shortened to the 13th morning. And in that day, the day is 2 parts longer than the night, and the day is exactly 10 parts, and the night 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from this 4th portal and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and comes forth from it and descends into the 5th portal. From then on, the day is lengthened 2 parts, and the day is 11 parts, and the night is shortened and is 7 parts. And the sun returns to the east and goes into the 6th portal, and comes forth and descends into the 6th portal, 31 mornings on account of its sign. And on that day, the day is longer than the night, and the day will be double the night, and the day is 12 parts, and the night is shorter and is 6 parts. And the sun is raised so that the day is shortened and the night is lengthened, and the sun returns to the east and enters the 6th portal and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when the 30 mornings are completed, the day diminishes by exactly 1 part, and the day is 11 parts and the night 7 parts. And the sun comes forth on that day from the 2nd portal and descends in the west into the 2nd portal and returns to the east in the 1st portal 31 mornings and descends into the west into the 1st portal. And on that day, the night will be so long that it will be the double of the day, and the night is exactly 12 parts, and the day is 6 parts. And with that, the sun has completed his stations, and he again returns to his station, and enters in this portal 30 mornings. He rises and sits opposite it in the west. And on that day the night diminishes in length by 1 part, and is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun returns and goes into the 2nd portal of the east, and returns to his course 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night diminishes in length, and the night is 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And on that day the sun comes forth from the second portal, and descends in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is shortened, and is 9 parts, and the day is 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day, and the year has exactly 364 days. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night, by the course of the sun they are made separated. On that account, the day course becomes longer daily, and the night course shorter nightly. And this is the law and the course of the sun and his return when he returns. 60 times he returns and comes out, that is the great eternal luminary, which is called the sun to all eternity. And that which thus ascends in the great luminary, as it is called on account of its appearance, according to the command of the Lord. And thus he ascends, and is not diminished, and does not rest, but runs day and night in his chariot, and his light shines 7 times stronger than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. Section 14, Chapter 73. And after this law I saw another law with reference to the smaller luminary, whose name is Moon. And her circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and her chariot, in which she rides, is driven by the wind, and in a measure light is given to her. Every month her ascent and her descent is changed. Her days are like the days of the sun. And when her light is equal, her light is the 7th part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her beginning in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. And on that day she becomes visible, and is for you the beginning of the moon on the 30th morning, and together with the sun in the portal whence the sun proceeds. And the 1/2 is prominent by the 7th part, and her whole circuit is empty, and there is no light with the exception of the 1/7 part of the 14 parts of light. And on that day when she takes up the 7th part and the half of her light contains 1/7 and 1/7 part, and the half of it she sets with the sun. And when the sun rises, the moon also rises with him, and takes a half portion of light, and in that night, in the beginning of her morning, on her first day, the morning sets with the sun, and is darkened in that night, with the seventh and the seventh portions and the half of one. And she will rise on that day with exactly the seventh part, and it will come out and become smaller from the rising of the sun, and shine the rest of her days with the seventh and the seventh part. Chapter 74. And I saw another course in law for her, making her monthly course according to that law. And Uriel, the holy angel, who was the leader of them all, showed me all things, and I wrote down all their positions as he showed them to me. And I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights, till 15 days are completed. And in 7 single parts she completes all her light in the east, and in 7 single parts she completes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she changes her setting, and in certain months she goes her peculiar course. And in 2 the moon sets with the sun in those 2 portals which are in the middle, in the 3rd and in the 4th portal. She comes forth 7 days and turns and returns again by that portal through which the sun comes, and in that she completes all her light and recedes from the sun, and enters in 8 days into the 6th portal through which the sun comes forth. And when the sun comes out of the 4th portal, she comes out 7 days, so that she comes out of the 5th and returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal and completes all her light, and recedes and enters the 1st portal in 8 days. And she returns again in 7 days to the 4th portal through which the sun comes forth. Thus I saw their places, the sun rising and setting according to the order of their months. And in those days, if 5 years are taken together, the sun has 30 superabundant days, and all the days which belong to him, one of these 5 years, when they are full, are 364 days. And the superabundance of the sun and of the stars is 6 days, or 5 years, each at 6, are 30 days. And the moon recedes from the sun and the stars 30 days. And the moon brings in all the years exact, so that their place neither precedes nor recedes 1 day. But she changes the years with exact justice in 364 days. 3 years have 1,092 days, and 5 years 1,820 days, so that there will be in 8 years 2,912 days. To the moon alone belongs for 3 years 1,062 days. And for 5 years she receives 50 days, viz. To the sum of these are added 62 days. And thus in 5 years there will be 1770 days, but the days of the moon for 8 years will be 2,832 days. For her receding in 8 years is 8 days, and all the days she remains behind in 8 years are 8 days. And the year is justly finished, in accordance with their stations and the stations of the sun, rising through their portals, through which they rise and set 30 days.